In 2013, Guido Bagett will turn 101. Guido was born Guido Bagetto in Italy in 1912. He came to America as a little boy and grew up in Carbondale in the 20s and 30s. Here he remembers his family and life in a simpler time.
Well, my dad was a miner. He came from Italy in about 1885, and he went to work in the Newcastle mines. He mashed his hand, and I guess at that time there was a lot of Italians in this area that came here. That's the reason he came.
Working in the coal mines in Newcastle?
He was working in what they call the tipple. That was the chutes now. And he mashed his hand there working in the tipple.
What's your earliest memory of Carbondale?
My memory of it? Of 1914. That's when I first remember coming here. I was quarantined in Ellis Island for 2 weeks with chicken pox.
How old were you?
I was 2.5, and my brother was 4.
So your dad came first.
Yeah, he was here in about 1888, and he worked here at the mines, and then he started a saloon in Glenwood, and he met Mike Bosco's uncle. At that time, he was very popular in Glenwood, and he was getting ready to go back to Italy. And my dad said they talked him into going back with him. And in 1916, he met my mother there in 16. He met my mother there, and they got married and started a family. But he decided to come back to America, and leaving my mother there, he came over here, and she didn't know that he'd left.
Really?
And she told me that she got mad and she sold the business that he had there, and with the money there, she came to America.
She was not going to stay. She was following him, huh?
She followed him here, and the first thing I remember of America was the railroad station in Carbondale. There was about 8 inches of snow on there, and it was the first time that I'd seen the snow. And I just got all excited and just jumped up and down there and having a ball. And we were supposed to go to Marble. He would meet us in Carbondale, but he made a mistake and went to Glenwood instead. So we had to go to Marble on our own.
How'd you get there?
By a Marble train. And we got there in Marble. A gentleman there delivered mail up there and took us to his home, my dad's home. So he was really surprised when he came back up and found us there.
I bet you took a lot of courage for your mom to just head out on her own.
Yeah, I never understood how she ever did it, because it took a lot of courage for a woman to come cross country like that. But we got settled there in Carbondale after moving down when they heard they was going to lay off a bunch, so my dad decided to move down to Carbondale and start a meat market. But he bought a pool hall instead, so he ran a pool hall for a while. And then he finally decided to start groceries. And he was also a meat cutter.
So your dad was a jack of all trades, right, in the true sense?
He started a meat market there, and he started making sausage, and he was pretty well known throughout the valley who was making his sausage. And they came in from all over the valley there to trade with him.
So he came as a miner and worked in the coal mines.
That was over with, because he started a saloon in the corner there by the bridge in Glenwood. And that's before he went back to Italy. And from there he went to Marion and Sunlight and Spring Gulch.
So all the coal mining communities at that time.
Yeah, he was running bars and saloons. So he was a jack of all trades.
So was he when things started? What happened in Marble that forced you to move?
Well, they were shutting down.
Shutting down the Marble.
They were shutting down there. The mill was closing, so he had to get out of there.
What year was that about?
That was in 1916, I think it was, just before Prohibition.
So what are some of your earliest memories of Carbondale?
Well, they're all good memories. I learned how to trap. I went down strapped to get some money for myself, and I learned to talk English right away. I learned school, learned English there, and graduated out of high school.
How old were you when you started trapping?
I was about 14, and started with muskrat and mink. I went into bobcat, coyote.
So you had a whole line up the of traps that you
in what we call the bottom, down below Carbondale, and then I also trapped along the Roaring Fork. I had skunk and mink and everything I could trap.
So what would you do when you caught a skunk? How did that work?
It was a skunk.
Yeah, how'd you deal with them in the trap?
It was I'd always drowned them. And one time I didn't have any water to drown them in, so I knocked them out. I thought I killed it, but I started home with a gunny sack, and Mrs. Mao was my teacher, and she let me ride on the running board, and I told her I had a skunk in the sack. And I come to find out the skunk wasn't dead after all. And he had his head sticking out of the sack, and I told her she better let me off.
Yeah, I'll say.
And
so she did, I'm sure.
She did. She let me off, and she was glad to see me go.
So a lot of your memories are of growing up in the store down in Carbondale?
I learned the store business from my dad, and I helped him there and delivered groceries. And just generally all trade. I learned to drive a pickup when I was 14, so I could deliver groceries.
So at 14 years old, you were driving around delivering groceries. Did you ever have trouble?
No, I never had any trouble driving around. I managed to drive pretty fast.
So what was your house like?
Well,
what do you remember about your house and growing up?
The only thing I can remember what it was before we got it. My dad said it used to be a saloon, and kind of ladies' house upstairs.
A ladies' house upstairs?
What they called a whorehouse.
Oh, in Carbondale.
Yeah, the Sheridan's pool hall was called. It was just a normal household.
So you had a brother?
I had two brothers and two sisters, Bert and Henry, my brothers, and Mary and Clara, the sisters.
So what kind of music was played in your house? Do you have memories of?
Well, I wasn't much of a musician myself. I tried playing the trombone, but it didn't work. But Bert played the saxophone, and my dad sang. He had a good voice. He sang. We'd go along the river fishing, and he'd be singing and smoking a cigar.
Really?
But,
so you and he fished a lot together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he taught me how to fly fish. And it was a wonderful life.
What about your mom? What's your favorite memory of your mom?
Well, I remember that she was a good cook, for one thing.
Yeah? What'd she cook?
Well, typical Italian dishes.
Such as, what were they?
Well, there's one called pung pung supa. That was a bread, kind of a bread bake with beef broth. And then polenta, which is normal. Just regular dishes, Italian.
You said you had a wonderful life. Was there a particular hard time that your family had that you remember?
Well, no, my dad was pretty responsible on everything. He was a good dad.
How'd you guys get through the Depression? Was that tough time?
Well, it was hard because everything was moving west from the east there, and we had a lot of them coming in that way. But my dad got to be known pretty well there for his business, and he picked up a lot of business that way. And then herders had their sheep that came in to go on the range, and they'd always use the store there to buy groceries.
So you had enough food, and people depended on the store during that time?
Oh, yes. My dad was pretty free with the food. Hobos would come in there, they needed a handout, and he'd always give them one.
So your dad was pretty generous helping people during that?
Oh, yeah, he was known that way. Through the valley, the hobos would come off the train, and they heard of him, and they always come up there for a handout. And they had a camp up towards Aspen there, about a mile out of town. And they had a hobo camp there. And they'd always come down there and get groceries.
What's your favorite memory of Carbondale?
Well, just growing up there and getting married here.
Did you have any pets that you remember?
Oh, yeah. I had a dog named Turk. He was known all over town.
What was special about him?
He was a German Shepherd that I ordered from Kansas through an ad in the paper. And he was known because he was quite a fighter.
So he would scrap with the other dogs in town?
Yeah, different times, yeah.
Was he?
But he was a one-man dog. If anybody touched me, he'd have him right away. He'd grab him by the arm.
Even your family?
No, not the family, no. But my mother was afraid of him because when I had him at first there, he would always lay on my clothes in my room. And she'd go to do the washing. He wouldn't let her have the clothes. She told me to go get the dog off of them clothes.
So you didn't ever use the dog for protection against your discipline, did you?
I didn't have to because he was right there with me all the time.
What's your favorite memory of your family in this town?
Well, growing up like we did there, everything was peaceful, no squabbles of any kind. And my dad was well liked in the community, and I just had a good time growing up.
What'd your family do for fun?
Well, I don't think we ever had any fun. We'd go out on Sundays. We'd go out and take a basket of food and go out and have a picnic someplace.
Along the river?
Yeah. Go up the Crystal River someplace.
Sounds like those memories of you and your dad fishing were pretty special.
Well, yeah, they were because he taught me how to fly fish. He was a good fly fisherman, and we always go up at Crystal River. In fact, the first time he took me up, we went to Dempke's, which is 12 miles out of Carbondale, up across from Avalanche Creek, and we fished from there down all the way to Carbondale. It was late at night when we got back. That's about 10 miles of fishing.
Wow.
But we had a basket full of fish.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it was good then.
That was Guido Bagett recalling life in western Colorado in the 1920s and 30s.